Grace to you and peace from God who is, who was, and who is to come. Amen. Thanks be to God for that gospel reading. I have to tell you, I struggle with this parable. I'm not certain that I totally understand it, and if I do understand it correctly, I'm not sure that I like the conclusion. But let me walk us through it. So in the midst of the parables that we've been hearing the last few weeks, last week we had the parable of the 10 bridesmaids. Next week we're going to hear the parable of the separation of the sheep and the goats. We get this parable of Jesus saying that there's this unnamed businessman, apparently very wealthy businessman, and he's going on a trip. But before he leaves, he does this rather odd thing, or at least it's odd by our modern standards. He calls 3 of his employees in, and he entrusts each of them with a significant amount of money. Now, in first century terms, the word talent was a financial term. It doesn't really translate well into our modern understanding because the word itself has changed its meaning. But according to a footnote in one of my study Bibles, a talent was equivalent to 15 years worth of wages. Yes, 15, 1, 5. So we're talking about a lot of bucks here. The businessman, he calls these 3 employees and he gives each of them a different amount. So quick little bit of math. According to the U.S. Census Bureau September report, the 2016 real median household income in the U.S. was $59,039. I'm going to round that down just a little bit to make it for easy math. So that means that 15 years times 59,000 equals $885,000. That's what employee number 3 is entrusted with. Number 2, he got 59,000 times 15 times 2 talents. He gets $1,170,000. Employee number 1, 15 years times 59,000 times 5, he gets $4,425,000. Any of your bosses done that for you lately? Yeah. Now, as far as we can determine, these employees receive this funds for no other reason than safekeeping. They're not given any direction as to what, if anything, they are supposed to do with these rather significant amount of money. Boss goes away, doesn't say how long he's going to be gone, doesn't say where he's going to be gone, and then he returns. And he wants an accounting of how they have invested his money, because apparently that's what they were supposed to do. He never came out and said that, though. So what's surprising to me is that that's what the employees did. They went out and invested their employer's money. They took risks. They used the funds to buy and sell. Well, 2 of the 3 did. The third one, the one who was given the least amount, he took an extremely cautious approach to his boss's money, and he buried it in the ground. So the boss comes back. He wants an accounting. Employee number 1 comes forward and says, "Sir, you handed me 5 bars. Look, through my financial dealings, I've doubled your funds." "Well done, good and faithful slave. You have been trustworthy in a few things. I will put you in charge of many things." Number 2 comes forward. "Sir, I did the same scenario. I've done the same thing. I was able to invest your money. I've doubled it for you. Here you go, sir. Well done. Good and trustworthy slave. You have been trustworthy in a few things. I will put you in charge of many things." Let me stop right there for a moment. Have you ever asked anyone to take care of your money? You know, somebody to help you with an IRA or maybe a 401k or even Jenny behind the counter at Members First, whatever. We expect whatever monies that we put into those accounts hopefully is going to grow, right? Maybe a little, hopefully a lot. But say that I hand my wallet to a friend while I'm going to go out on the court and play a quick pickup game of basketball. I'm not going to do that, trust me. But say I were to do that, and when I get done with that pickup game and I go back to my friend to get my wallet, what I am not expecting that friend to say is, oh, John, by the way, while you were out doing that, I hope you don't mind. I opened up your wallet, I took 20 bucks out, I went down to the dollar store, I bought a whole bunch of soda, I came back here, I sold it, look at this, I doubled your money, here's your 40 bucks. I am not going to say to that person, hey, that was a great idea, why don't you keep that 40 bucks? I can really relate to employee number 3. And even more so, when he talks about what kind of a guy his boss is. Master, I knew that you were a harsh man, reaping where you did not sow, gathering where you did not scatter. I was afraid, and I hid your money in the ground. Here. Now, maybe you might go out on vacation and ask me to watch your car for 3 months. I might drive it around town a few times just to make sure the battery stays charged and the brakes don't freeze up. I'm not going to take your car on a cross-country trip. The cautious approach that number 3 takes infuriates his boss, who not only takes the money from number 3 and gives it to number 1, but he tosses number 3 out onto the street, no pension, no parachute, no package, nothing. So what are we supposed to do with this story? Now, most of the commentaries that I read said that the original hearers of this parable would have instinctively known that the master was code for God, and that the servants were actually the believers, the people of Israel, and that the money invested by the servants was code for the message of God. So if we bring that analogy all the way forward to 21st century North America, then we, as the believers, are given the message of Christ. That is the good news. And we are supposed to go out and share that message. We're supposed to go out and tell others about God's grace and love and strength and forgiveness. Which in turn means if we don't tell others about the gospel, that is, if we act like servant number 3 and bury that treasure in the ground, keep it to ourselves, that's the kind of thing that really ticks off God. That lack of action annoys God to the point where we would hear this, as for this worthless slave, throw him into the outer darkness where there is weeping and gnashing of teeth. Jeez. So what concerns me, though, about this parable, am I doing that? Am I spreading that treasure, investing it, giving the gospel message to those who need to hear it? Or to put it another way, how many people have I brought into this congregation? How many folks have I shared my faith with, especially to the point where they have made a life change, a faith commitment? Right. Maybe you're sitting there thinking, well, geez, Brock, you're standing up in front of us every week, leading worshiper, yapping away. Of course, you're doing this. And I got to disagree with that because, personally, I think most of you don't count. Because you're coming here anyway. You've already got faith. And if you don't, and you've been coming here for a while, well, we got bigger problems. But let me ask this uncomfortable question. How many people are active in this congregation because of you? How many members have you brought here to Trinity? Or let me make it a little easier. How many people in general, let's take it outside of Trinity, how many people in general, other than those to whom you are biologically related, how many people are active in their Christian faith because of you? think that's the point of this parable. It's not about money. It's not about wealth or personal gain. It's not even about how well we follow vague directions. No. I think the point of this parable, what have you done? What have I done to increase the body of Christ and to bring others into the fold? How have you invested the faith that you have been given? That's the question that each of us is asked. And sisters and brothers, I gotta tell you, on that question, I think each of us is left wanting. Amen.